All right, purely Arsenal FP listeners, quick one. Arsenal 1, Manchester City 1. Disappointing, but could have been worse. We scored late in the game. A fantastic goal from Martinelli. We'll get to all of that. Should we start with the lineup? Yeah, I wasn't blown away by it, but I did expect it. I thought the two places he might do things is I thought he'd keep Marino in midfield, which I don't think works from the start, and I don't know when he's going to get the idea that Marino, Rice and Zubimendi is not a midfield that really works from the start. Certainly not in home games where you've got to go and win it, which is every home game for us. There's not enough on-the-ball creativity from that midfield. Marino is... he doesn't fulfil the attacking attributes of Martin Odegaard. But I think he plays him for the defensive attributes that Martin Odegaard provides, and maybe more so. And I think that is the mentality that we have with Mikel Arteta sometimes. He will look when a player is out and he'll try to ensure that he doesn't drop the level defensively rather than can I gain something in an attacking sense from this position. Should have been Eze Onyeri. I think we saw that with the changes that we made. I thought Marino was quite poor anyway. I think he goes down too easily. I think in these intense games where the ball moves really fast, I find he takes an extra touch too often or he's too slow with it. Leaves us in trouble. Him and Trossard, to be honest, went down too often in the first half for me, expecting fouls that were never going to come. Marino has a habit of doing this. I don't know why it doesn't get called out more. There's a few things that I want to say. Firstly, obviously, we started, with all the ball. And then they had one chance, which I largely place... Rice and Zubimendi are a little bit too high collectively. But I think I don't know what Gabriel's doing. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he's trying to win the ball that high. He doesn't need to. He gets caught. Never catching Haaland from there. I would say as well, I'm nitpicking here a little bit because it's not really on Saliba. But I think Saliba needs to just cut the Haaland ball out. He needs to let Reiners run with it. Because he knows his goal is to get the ball to the best finisher in the league. So you just cut the Haaland ball out. You let him run. You let him run. And one of your other defenders, Timber, someone else, whoever was back there, will come across to Reinders at some point. You take the chance that Reinders is going to have a pop from 18 yards as opposed to Haaland, because Haaland's more likely going to score there. I think he needs to entirely cut that pass out to Haaland. Hard to say in the peak of the moment, but that's what I think. Largely, I place it on Gabriel. At that point, I have to say, Man City were dreadful. They sat into the deepest of deep blocks. They had the lowest possession, I think, ever under Pep Guardiola with 32%. I think his lowest was 36% before this. Let me know if I'm wrong on that, but that's what I saw. It felt that way. He made every defensive substitution he could do. Donnarumma was wasting time from the 30th minute. We need to do better with breaking teams down like this. However, the analysis, if it was flipped, like it was last year when we had 10 men, by the way, was, negative Arsenal, this, that and the other. This was about as deep as a deep block as I've seen with 11 men. With 11 men. We had 10, by the way, then. And we had a drastic amount of injuries then. We were bringing the likes of Lewis Skelly on for his debut at the age of 16 or 17. They did not have that. Okay, £1 billion squad, absolute 11 men, no need to do it, and they did it. And they thought they got away with it. And that's the one thing I would say is, as much as I don't think we did enough to win it, we definitely didn't deserve to lose the game. No way did we. I thought Madueke was quite bright again in the first half. He doesn't do enough for me when he gets into position. He had one shot, saved well from Donnarumma, but it was straight at him. A couple of times I felt he got into position and he should be getting his shot off or his pass off better. Still don't think we get Gyökeres involved enough, and I think Gyökeres is partly to blame for that. A couple of crosses came from Timber and one from Trossard in the second half, and I felt Gyökeres was just flat-footed, and he should have been getting in there. That's what we need you there for. His hold-up play needs to be a little bit better for me. We made 2 subs at the half-time. I don't think necessarily Saka should have come on. I think Martinelli was the sub that I really wanted. Saka not being fit for a few weeks and Madueke still being bright in the first half. I'm not sure. I wonder if Madueke felt something. Either way, the subs did work in a way. We started quite brightly in the second half. We put a lot of pressure on them. without creating too many clear-cut chances. Eze had a shot from the edge that was parried from Donnarumma, but again, go gadget arms. You've got to get stuff in the corners. You know, the goal proved that. It felt like we were kind of relying on set pieces to try to create something. I don't think Donnarumma's good from set pieces. I don't think we were particularly good from set pieces in this game. I also thought Rice was pretty poor. I have to say that. I thought he was pretty poor on and off the ball. Gave the ball away, some silly stuff from Rice. Look, it felt like the game was going to go, and you can't lose. If you want to have any chance of being in a title race, you can't lose to your two possible title rivals in the first 5 games. And arguably, you can't even not win one of those, you know. So we might be clutching, really. But the goal is a thing of beauty. I mean, they get the ball just for a few seconds, and it allows them to push 5 or 10 yards up, which they weren't doing at all. And Eze just sees the run from Martinelli, but it's an absolutely fantastic run from Martinelli. And his first touch is beautiful, and his second is even better. It's a fantastic finish. Martinelli is, you know, he is massively on form. I think he should have started. It's easy saying that in hindsight, but I did say I felt the left wing was open, and I felt Martinelli was kind of riding the crest of a wave a little bit after midweek. And maybe he said he played into that for Mourinho after the internationals. Well, I felt he missed a trick there with Martinelli. I also felt he missed a trick in just not bringing Martinelli on earlier if he wasn't going to start him. Look, in the end, you take the point. The point was the least we deserved, but I don't think we create enough to really say we deserve to win it. Massively negative from Man City, which won't get discussed whatsoever. Mikel Arteta has to look at the way he sets up his team, especially in home games. You can't be setting up with a midfield three like that. You now have the options you didn't have last season. There's no excuses for it. And I'll say what I say always about Trossard. He's a brilliant substitute option. I gave the comparison to Kanu midweek to someone, and I felt Makanu's been the best ever sub we've had. I think he's the most effective sub ever in the league with 30 goals and assists, and I think Trossard has about half of that in his Premier League tenure. He's a super sub. Use him as a super sub. You know, that's what you should use him as, and have Eze or Martinelli being your starting left wingers. In this game, I would have started both. I would have started Eze, I would have started Martinelli, started Eze in the hole. It's not really hindsight. I think a lot of fans said before them, especially with the midfield, that it shouldn't be a Mourinho, Rice, Zubimendi midfield. We need more on-the-ball players, and it doesn't matter if you've got Odegaard out. There's no excuse for it. Frustrated with Arteta, frustrated that we couldn't break them down, frustrated that the analysis will be that we couldn't break them down rather than how negative Manchester City were for 85 minutes in this game. But that is what Northern media do. Don't know if I'll be able to pod on it. If I can't, I'll be back shortly. Up the Arsenal. Subscribe to us here at Purely Arsenal FP. Cheers.